Sing Them Home by Pam Weaver. Read by Julie Maisey. Chapter 1. 2:15 p.m. Sunday, August the 9th, 1942. Pip Sinclair was just going outside with a bucket of warm water when she saw her neighbour from 2 doors down hurrying along the alleyway that ran behind their houses. She was about to call out to her, but something made her hold back. Lillian Harris looked very smart in a new spotted pinafore frock with dark blue contrast at the neck and sleeves. Pip remembered seeing the material. The dress was made from 2 others, both of which Lillian had bought in a jumble sale, but you'd never know. How clever! Her daughter Flora was also there and was dressed up too. But when Pip saw Lillian glancing around furtively, she pressed herself against the shed door. She couldn't explain why, but she felt like she was witnessing something she shouldn't. Lillian hurried her little girl along and crossed the road for the bus stop. Pip frowned. Where were they off to, and why all the secrecy? Pip reached the tin bath on the grass and tipped the water inside. Hazel jumped up and down gleefully. At 4 years old, having a pretend swimming pool in the back garden was very exciting. 6-year-old Georgie was more philosophical, but he was already putting his toy boats in the water as Pip swirled it round to make sure the temperature was even. It was a lovely warm day, and under normal circumstances, Pip would have taken her children down to the beach. It was only 10 minutes' walk away. But ever since 1939, the shoreline had been covered in sea defences. Barbed wire, concrete blocks and pillboxes had replaced the donkey rides, deck chairs and ice cream kiosks. Worthing was on the front line as far as an enemy invasion was concerned. The children began to squabble. "Now listen, you two," said Pip firmly. "If you're going to argue, I shall tip the water out and we'll all go inside." "But she's—" Georgie began. His mother raised a finger and gave him a stern look, so he turned back to his game, murmuring, "It's not fair." Pip got herself a cup of tea and sat in Peter's old deck chair to relax. Usually she had several other children to look after while their mothers were at work, but not today. It was nice to have her own children to herself for a change. Her thoughts drifted towards her husband. He was somewhere in the Far East. She wondered what he was doing. It would be a darn sight hotter out there than here, and he didn't much like the heat. Poor old Peter. He'd be the colour of a lobster by now. She leaned back and closed her eyes. Where on earth was Lillian off to? 3 p.m. As soon as they jumped off the bus, they turned the corner and Lillian saw him. Her heart skipped a beat. He was leaning against a tree smoking a cigarette. His Canadian uniform was the same as worn by most of the world's armies, khaki jacket, cut short at the waist, with slip-on shoulder titles, pleated breast pockets, and a field service cap worn rakishly over to one side. It was designed with practicality in mind, but it also made him look really handsome. She squeezed her daughter's hand and walked boldly on. "Are we nearly there, Mummy?" asked Flora, but her mother, distracted, could only answer with, It was a glorious day. It was hard to believe that the country had already been at war for 3 long years. Lillian felt a tinge of guilt. She must be mad. She really shouldn't be doing this. But life was hard. It was also very dull. She felt old before her time. It was ages since a man had even noticed her, let alone paid her a compliment. Then he'd come along. She worked hard all day doing her bit, so why shouldn't she get out and enjoy herself? She was still only 19, for goodness sake. All at once, he turned slightly and saw them. "Hey, you came," he said with a lazy smile. She hesitated.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?